What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Better at Beach podcast. My name is Mark Burrick, and we are here with our head online coach, Matt Hazel. We're running the second recording of today. Something went wrong with the sound, so if you guys were watching the live stream, commenting and letting us know that it was all going wrong. So we're going to have the same conversation that we just had, and hopefully we're going to clean it up a bit. Today, we're going to talk. This comes from one of our elite members in our complete player program. That means that he gets to meet with us twice a week. He sends us personal messages, text, DMs, and we are constantly looking at his film. He's an open player. His name is Mike Lessel. And as an elite member, he gets full unencumbered access to us. Our basic members, they just don't get to really. We try not to embrace all of the DMs that they send us, but they still get all of their video analyzed in our private Facebook group. Mike is one of the guys who is taking this program to the nth degree and absolutely crushing it. And he's seeing progress week after week because he's put his game in our hands. And we've got a 4-person coaching staff just for our online group. And it's pretty cool to see the wins that he's able to generate from that. So, Mike, congratulations. And what Mike was asking about in the last meeting was what qualities should you look for in a partner? What are the most important skills you can have in a partner and what you should look? And then, we kind of redesigned it to be a little, he said how to land a unicorn in a partner. So that's everything that we're going to talk about today. But I do want to just recap. The last weekend was awesome. We went coast to coast. So me, Matt, who's on air with us, Chad Mercado, and Logan Weber, we all went to New York, my hometown. I'm from Queens. I grew up playing volleyball in Long Beach. That's where I cut my teeth. And it was so nice to go back home. The restaurants, the inn, and Swing Bellies, thank you so much for hosting us. East End Volleyball, we're proud to be your beach volleyball education partner, so I'm glad it worked out so well. But we had about 36 souls out there for 3 days in the heat, in the humidity, and I'll say this, the people were just awesome. Now, without shooting ourselves in the foot, it can be exhausting to talk volleyball for 12 hours all day. And then at dinner, all of the campers, they continue to want to talk about volleyball. We understand. That's why we're in it. We love it. But these campers, they just asked about our lives. It was like hanging out with just friends and buddies. We partied afterwards. We had nice dinners where we were just invested in each other's lives, and that was the community that we want to build. So to all the New York campers, thank you so much. You were awesome. To the 13 guys that came and worked with Brandon in a small group, Brandon and Jake Urrutia, who was helping him out, AVP player Jake Urrutia from Jersey. They as well had awesome time. Brandon asked for some extra per diem to treat them for a few drinks, and of course we okayed it. He said these guys couldn't be cooler. So really successful weekend for us as a company. And just going forward, the events coming up, I'll just read them off. We have August 6th, Intro to Beach Volleyball Fundamentals. That will for sure sold out. People have been booking that soon. So it's a 6-hour course on a Sunday. That's in Hermosa. August 9th to 11th, we're still waiting for a bunch of signups from our kids groups. So if you want 5 hours for 3 days in a row, come to Hermosa Beach. You have to sign up in advance. That's August 9th to 11th. August 20th, women's B and A players. We're doing advanced defensive techniques and tactics. That's also in Hermosa. Brandon is going home to Virginia Beach for a 2-day clinic, August 24th to 25th, which is a Thursday and a Friday. That's an evening 2-day clinic. So if you guys are on the East Coast, go hit him up. That is just in advance of ECSC, which is a really awesome kind of end of season tournament, and usually also ends up with the East Coast Surf Championships. Really cool event. Good weekend to be in Virginia Beach as well. And our August 25th to 27th, St. Pete Beach, our home hotel and resort, which is at Postcard Inn in St. Pete, Florida. There's a 3-day mini camp, men's and women's levels B and A. That's selling fast. We're getting a lot of signups quick. It's going to be hot. It's going to be fun. And it'll be our first real summer camp in Florida. And that's a 3-day event. And the following week after that, September 8th to 10th, we're taking the next level. So men's and women's A and AA. And then, of course, all of our fall and winter 7-day vacations are on sale. Make sure you're on our email list and you're looking out for them. But please book them. We close those windows early so that we can staff the camps appropriately. So get out there and book them. All right. Those are all the announcements from me and from Better Beach. So now we do have Matt Hazel, our head online coach, who is in St. Pete right now.
Let's go. Dude, that makes me so excited to hear about those camps, man. I first experienced my camps last year. It was like I think my first one was the one right after Christmas into the new year. And I was like, man, this is so much fun. So many awesome people that come to these. And I'm like, I can't get enough of it. Holy cow. Yeah, so I'm Matt. I work with the online program and get to work with these guys hands-on twice a week. And it's a blast. So, yeah, I'm excited to be a part.
Hell yeah. All right. So, Matt, I'm going to kind of let you run through the first because it seems like I'm going to have to bring Mackenzie on board. She just woke up from her nap. So that's when your wife is training to be a professional stunt woman and you're the at-home dad, you get that. So, you can just riff for a second while I go get Mackenzie and bring her on air and talk about what qualities you're currently looking for or hoping. And I'll be back in about a minute.
For sure. Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it goes back to, I always look at the personality a lot, but obviously you have to know how to play volleyball. Right now I'm playing with this guy. His name is Joseph Ryson. He's a guy down in Florida. I got a few events coming up, actually. I'm going out to California for 2 weeks, and it's going to be, the first 2 are going to be with this guy, Nick DiMatteo. I played with him a decent amount back in California before I moved out here to Florida. And you really look for the guy that you mesh with. Obviously, it's great if you're a blocker. I'm a defender. I'm like 6 foot tall. And so whenever it comes to who I look for in a partner, a big piece of it boils down to, do I want to split block or not? Ultimately, I really don't want to. I like to say that's not my best yes. I could try to, but at the end of the day, that's not my best yes. So I normally look for a blocker who's willing to full-time block for me. So that's ultimately the start. Ken has got block, and then also ball control. So just, we can walk through the skills all we want to. Oh, baby Mac, let's go. Baby Mac. I won't call her a nickname yet. I'll call her that.
Yeah, we got to save that one. Yeah, hopefully no one finds it.
Yeah. But I think skills ultimately is a big piece of it. Joe and we just took a 21-hour road trip to Wisconsin. And that's when you realize, okay, it's a lot more than just volleyball. You have to decide if you're willing to travel with this person, if that's one of your goals. You need to look at their personality and how you guys mesh. Do you make this person easy? Do you guys communicate well? Are they reliable? I've had a lot of practices in the past where I was relying on a partner to be there and then they weren't. And it just ruined the whole practice. I think that's another big one to work on. Mark, you can probably take over whenever you want. But
that's huge. I never even touched on that, but I've for sure ditched the idea of training partners, because they either consistently showed up late, or the second or third time they canceled after us booking those hours, reserving the rest of our life, and then they just don't show up. And they say like, oh, I'm tired. And they make some excuse like work or whatever. Dude, I don't care. Like, we all have lives. You have to show up. And now you've ruined 3 time that they took out of their life to train. Number one, at our level, it's 1000% unprofessional. Like, if you're trying to make a living at this, you're trying to play, then it's just, it's a jerk move. And even if you're not professional, you've dedicated hours, babysitters scheduled with your loved ones to take out that chunk of time and plan your practice, and to not show up is inexcusable. Like, you get one per season, and you have to be apologetic. You have to put in, if it takes you 80 phone calls to get a sub, to show up for you, then
Right.
you do that. Even if it's an A player, like, hey man, I sent this person. I'm so sorry. Won't ever happen again. But
Right.
no
Yeah.
excuse for not showing up.
Reliability is
Oh,
huge,
pet
man.
peeve.
Yeah, huge pet peeve of mine as well. I always like get frustrated with myself whenever I'm right on time, and whenever
Mm-hmm.
someone invites me, it's like I'm gonna get there early, make sure I'm warm, because it's a privilege to be on the court with a lot of the guys that I'm training with and against, and so I want to make sure that I protect that at all costs. So I expect the same energy from them as well.
All right. I heard you talking about traveling together, and
Yeah.
I'll say that there are people that you'll get along with personally, in person. They could be your best friends, and you will hate each other on the court. I see it with friends, buddies. I see it with people who play with their significant other for co-ed events, something like that. I know married couples that have the best, happiest marriage in the world, but they refuse to play with each other on the court. They just won't play volleyball with each other, which part of that makes me sad, but part of it also makes me happy that they're recognizing, like, this is where we don't vibe.
This
And
doesn't fit
what's
there.
more important? Am I supposed to save my marriage, or like try to be at the top of the double A co-ed circuit, in West Virginia? uh,
Hey,
you
that's a
so
big goal. That's a big goal.
it is. That's
Yeah.
West Virginia's got a lot of legit grass leagues. So
Let's go.
it the first thing, and we talk about this like in our player thing, you have to understand what your goal is when you're playing. That's number one. Are you there to try to be the best? Are you there to get exercise? Are you there to just have fun? If you don't have the answer to that and the other person doesn't know your answer, so I'm not saying that they actually have to have the same goal. We know this from like high school sports and college. Some of the best college players in the world are there not necessarily because they love volleyball, but it pays for their education, or it's putting them through college. Or some others, like, this is where all their friends are. We see that a lot in high school and club. Well, all their friends are there, so they're going to play. And if they team rules and they do everything that's necessary, then they're a great athlete, or a great part of the team. So you don't have to have the same goals, but you have to have the conversation of what this person's goals are. And if you don't have that conversation, it can be dangerous, because I might be trying to be the best in the world, and you might be out there just socializing.
Right.
So we're not going to be trying to do the same thing or have the same attitudes.
Yeah, it creates a false expectation, right? Like it's something that you're expecting them to be in the same shoes that you are if you don't have that conversation. So whenever you have the conversation, it totally clears everything up for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of my best volleyball relationship in terms of enjoyment and success was with Kurt Topple. And I tell this story a lot at camps, but I was told that Kurt Topple did not play beach volleyball to make money, didn't best. He had a very fruitful college and indoor professional career. And he was like, I could work all winter, play 3 events, and be in the negative. He goes, just last year, I was playing in wherever in the Middle East and making 200,000 for a season, win or lose. So it didn't make sense for him financially. So the only way that he was enjoying playing or would continue to play is if he was having fun, is if he was hanging out, he was staying fit, and he was still very good and very confident. So me being a grinder at the time, I had to accept that he wanted to giggle, socialize, enjoy himself, and I wanted to work, and we both had that conversation. I knew where he was. I was always hoping that I could turn him, but I didn't expect. Yeah, right. Let's do an Olympic run. Let's do that.
You don't want to do 2-a-days? What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, and we take that. Now when I'm playing co-ed with Janelle, And for sure, once this one grows up, my number one is going to be fun.
I
I
love
will
that.
be there
Awesome.
for them. So if it means that I'm going to argue with the other team about whether a ball was in or out, or I'm going to turn and tell a joke to my wife or make my daughter smile,
Mm.
I know my priority. It's to make these girls have fun. And so that will help me curb that. But if Janelle says, hey, I actually really want to get good with this. Can you help coaching me? Then, all right, shoot, you've got a new goal. I can assist with that.
Yeah.
And then we can flip. Like, I'm not going to make a joke every point unless that makes you good. No.
Man, did you find it a challenge? What was the biggest challenge with those two different headspaces between you and Kurt, and how did you approach that?
I had to learn some hard lessons because of the people that I turned off over the years. I from high school, I like lost friends because I would just push everybody physically to the limit. If I didn't think that they were giving 100% at all time, I would let them know. And you don't make friends that way. You win, you become a great version of yourself if you always lead the way. So, if I'm asking somebody to give 100%, I'm definitely giving 110. That is a really self-defeating personal trait because you can elevate people, but if you have that in your head, hardest worker in the room, right? Now, when I'm asking somebody else to work hard, I will demand that I work harder than them. And then I will think, hey, you're not working as hard as me. So it's a really dangerous place to be in if you're relying on other people's attitudes and effort. But there has to be some level where you say, hey, this is an unacceptable behavior, especially on a team. But a lot of that has to come from agreements, and I never had those agreements in like my 20s, in college, anything like that. It was just on our college team, it was accepted, and a few people, the captains, removed from the team.
Wow.
Coach removed a couple, but we as captains, we removed a few. And they're like, what? You're kicking me off the team? Very like, remember the Titans? Like, yes, you
Love
are
that.
out. You won't belong
Wow.
here. But you take that to a partner. Now you're traveling to a bunch of countries and you're always just nipping at their heels because they're not doing something well enough or not doing something hard enough. It's not fair to them. And without that conversation and without them being able to give it back to you, you can break relationships. So I learned by losing a few partners that I pushed too hard, or that I just wasn't accepting of how hard work. And then when I got to Kurt, who was this monster, 6'9", elevating, shoulders above the net, like, wait a second, this is a guy that when I see him play, I could see him being a top 20 blocker in the world.
Wow.
But a mentor told me, Kurt needs to have fun. If he doesn't, he's out. And so I had him as a coach. I hired him as a coach because he knew Kurt well, and I got along with him great. And that was a great relationship. But, shocker, money ran out. And Kurt eventually, just started playing like 2 or 3 tournaments that were in the South Bay. And those were the ones that he went for, so had a great year with him, had the most fun I'd ever had playing volleyball and traveling. And because we accepted each other, because we had some conversations about it, it was beautiful.
Wow, that's cool. Now, did it take time to figure out that that's the kind of player that you want to be? Did you meet someone that grinded and worked hard and you were like, oh, let me try that? Or was that something that was just natural? I know you mentioned it in college, or was there someone that kind of like put that in you?
I don't know. When you're trying to like psychology yourself and you're like, what happened in my childhood that made me respect hard work like more than winning?
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if I would rather somebody see me as a champion or I would rather everyone know that I would put everything on the line and do everything I could in the face of adversity. Like, what label would I rather have on me? I think like when I talk to myself, it's making sure everybody knows that I gave 100% effort. And I don't know if that happened in my childhood, if somebody said something one day or I got in trouble for something one day. But that's just always who I've been. It just took a while to recognize that that could turn people off. Yeah. So, but no matter what, moral of the story, guys, you have to be on the same page with the person you're playing next to. And I will say one thing that people have debated me for a while on. I do not think that people are the same person on the court and off the court. So if I see you playing and you're a jerk and you talk smack and whatever, and I hate you on the court, I am able to separate that completely from seeing you away from the tournament, seeing you at a restaurant. What type of person are you? If I see somebody yelling at somebody during like co-ed, a dude's like yelling at his wife, I'm not the person that goes, ooh, must be tough at home. I think just like actors, right? If you play a villain in a movie, I don't think you're a murderer in real life. I think this is your stage. So you're allowed to be whoever you want on your athletic stage. And most people do. And that's why you can see marriages that are super happy at home and die married, which is almost rare now. But they cannot play together. Because they'll be at each other's throat. And that to me is complete evidence of this. I consider it fact. You don't have to be the same person on the court that you are in real life. And so I don't hold that person against you. And yeah. So when you see people and you want to take a look at what type of person they are, separate those two. And then you have to figure out, do I get along with this person on the court? And do I get along with, or do I need to get along with them off the court? If you only see each other when you're at a tournament, great. You don't need to hang out. Like Phil and Todd, they weren't like buddies high-fiving each other and tickling each other in the hotel room. I think Phil played video games and Todd read a book literally the whole time. So they weren't having these like full-on best friend conversations, but they were an 8-year bomb partnership.
Oh.
Yeah. So one out of volleyball. You can't start without that. And then you have to try to find somebody who matches that. Now, we're saying all that, but you're from North Carolina, right?
I'm from Charleston,
South Carolina. God, yeah. Why do I always mess up the Carolinas? We're going to get emails about that. Mackenzie will not mess up the Carolinas, so don't send me a hate email. Yeah, you don't want to make Mackenzie cry with your hate emails. There might be athletically who you could win open tournaments with in South Carolina. 3, maybe 4 guys in your region. Maybe none of them match your profile of who you would like, your unicorn. So sure, you want to look for that, but you have to accept when you just can't find it. Like you can't find the personality that's yours. You can't find the same goal set that matches with yours, but you got to be accepting of others. And that's why I think there's a little microcosm in there for beach volleyball and the world. If you are only looking for somebody's negative for what's wrong, if you have 8 out of 10 things right, but you focus on the 2 things that aren't perfect for you, your relationship is going to be miserable, and it is not that person's fault. Because life secret, there's no 10s. Nobody is 10 out of 10 in every single category. And it's just up to you about what you want to focus on. Do you want to focus on how good they are in the categories that they're good at? Or do you want to keep thinking about how this person can't pursue a ball when somebody pokes over their head when they're blocking? Like you could think about that all day and just decide that they are the worst blocker possible, right? Because they don't make one play. Or you could be like, oh, he's got 3 aces, he sets dimes, he side out well enough, but you focus on the like one play that he can't make constantly. That's a bad way to go about life and a bad way to go about partners.
Yeah, I feel like a big piece of it is choosing battles. I think there's a lot of I feel like in every single partnership, you're going to have some sort of battle that you may not approve of, but you got to choose which one you're like, okay, I can get by with this one. This is what I'm okay with. And I don't think setting's one of those. I feel like that's something that's pretty important. Passing and setting, I feel like that's pretty solid, right? But when it comes to how is this blocking? Is he able to turn and make that play off of the dink over him? At that point, it's like, all right, that's a battle I'm willing to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready to chase down balls every single time he gets served. You know, I don't think I want to fight that battle. So it is important to see, okay, what is his strengths? What is his weaknesses? And I feel like that helps you be able to be a solid partner to that person even better.
And when you start playing with somebody, if you have the courage to have the conversation on your own, here's what I'm doing for the AVP guys. Like Travis is playing with Avery, and then Travis and JD, I didn't really need to do it because they have so they've had a lot of talks about their strengths and weaknesses. But now when I talk to pros I guess I'm an AVP coach now. But when I talk to them, I go, guys, there's skills that I can't improve. I can't improve in the next couple weeks. But what you guys need to be on is on the same page. And we need self-awareness. And how do you develop self-awareness? You need other people to talk about things, right? So can you hear me? Made a face. Matt? Oh no. Are we frozen? I hope we're doing all right. All right, Matt, yours got a little frozen.
Yeah, I think we're back now.
Okay. If you could put your camera on when you get a chance, that'd be great. Cool. Okay. So, the camera is now focusing on self-awareness. Yeah. AI is tracking my baby. If you don't have the conversation of, hey, what do you think the two weakest parts of my game are? And what do you think the two things that I do well? Like, if you needed to put a bragging sheet on me, how would you brag about my game? If you needed to do a scouting report on me, what would you pick apart? Players don't have these conversations with each other, and that's a nightmare because nobody ever learns what all of the other enemies out there are trying to pick apart. You might be so self-unaware that you don't actually know. You might be insecure about a certain cut shot and nobody else is paying attention to your cut shot. Like, they think it's valid or it's good enough, and they're just saying service left shoulder because we get a bunch of aces off his left shoulder, and everybody in your neighborhood knows that. You have to have that conversation, and for me, with the AVP guys, that's what I'm doing now. Is I'm forcing them to have those tough conversations of what's his biggest weakness. What would you pick apart? What do you want him to do? Like, you're playing with him for a reason. So tell me two things that you really want him to do. And first of all, it's a pretty fun conversation. It's when you get to the positives, but nobody looks at the negatives like, oh, you're a jerk. Like, huh, okay. Might agree with it, might not, but you get that little like upside down frown, upside down smile, kind of like thinking face, right. And you figure it out from there. So that's what is scout each other and treat it like that, because people can change, but only if they know what they have to change. When I look at you, if I was thinking like, man, no, I'm not going to play with Matt because he's early all the time, so he always gets himself under the ball. Do I say that again? Do I be your partner and then just sulk every time I see you early? Or do I say, hey, Matt, I think you're consistently early and it puts you in trouble. And I know you side out really well when you stay behind it. So let's grind on that for 2-3 weeks. Instead of thinking that this is just some permanent quality that this person has and you never talk about it, never discuss it, and never sit there and work on it for 3 weeks. I think that's what happened to Logan and Evan. They kind of just, got through the grind. They stopped seeing massive, quick success. And now it's the Hagen and Logan show and Troy and Evan. But it happens to a lot of partners because they just think somebody can't do it instead of asking them to work on a very specific thing for a lot of time in a row. And everybody's always willing to work on something they think is a weakness if they know it's a weakness and they know that their partner believes in them and believes that they can make that change.
Yeah, that's huge. I think belief in each other is a big piece of that too. Because ultimately, I think I saw a video of Cam Chalk, the AVP, sent it out, and it was this video about partnerships. And one thing he said is, I'm probably about to butcher this completely, but something along the lines of, I want to know that as soon as I show up to that tournament, I'm showing up with somebody we've done our best. We've put our best foot forward together, and we believe in each other, and we're going to leave it all out there. And I think about that all the time. I'm like, okay, am I doing this in my partnership too? Am I like, I'm behind Joe 24/7 every single day of the week. We're going to be out there battling together. Rather than whenever we get on the court, it's me versus him. No, it's us versus the other team. And we're going to put our work against their work. And whoever comes out on top, we did our best. So I'm just trying to create that headspace in my game too, I think.
Yeah. And, also, hey, what are we working on today? For all of you juniors coaches out there or people who are dealing with coaches, those coaches who make a correction after every point, you're ruining your athletes. If your only commentary as a coach is on what just happened, so because of that, next play, do this. You're not a coach. You're a fan. You're a Monday morning quarterback. Like, you don't prove any brilliance by seeing what just went wrong. You only prove that you're a great coach if you can get people to focus their mind. I know the camera's following her. Thank you, baby. Bye, internet.
She's already still in the show.
That's right. We got a tax credit for that, so we're good. Baby's a model. Get to pay her $12,000. We're set.
Let's go.
All right, but where were we?
I got distracted too.
No,
coach.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody, for losing train of thought. But to keep
coaches
who are brilliant because of what they just saw.
And then you've now, by the time you've finished, what's 21-19? Okay, so you finished 40 points, and you've given your team, because they made an error on 19 of them, you've given them 19 different things to work on. You're an idiot as a coach. Sorry, just shut your mouth and it'll be better. Like, you need to say, what are we doing this match? What are we going for? This is the goal that we want to make sure that we're doing. Like, when we worked with Travis and JD, 7th in Hermosa, there were 3 things that I needed them to do. Everything else did not matter. Wasn't like talking about keeping your hands together earlier. Wasn't talking about doing anything else. Wasn't talking about, hey, maybe a jump set there. It was just, Travis, stay a little wider and make sure that you walk into everything, right? And then JD, just make sure that you get behind the ball earlier and you stay back and you just stay away from your cut shot. Like, had determined for one of those men. And that's it. Now it's, hey, that's all I have to say. Hey. And Travis was turning around, looking at me going, yeah, sorry. Okay. Won't do it again. And that's how you find that you're able to fix, you're able to continue, have your players have more confidence, right? Because you're chasing goals instead of harping on errors. So for any of you who are playing with your partner, or you're trying to select qualities, whatever, ask them the 2 things that you're promising that you will do for that match, the keys to the match. They do this in football, they do it in UFC. What are this person's 3 keys that they have to do well to have their best game against that opponent? If you don't have that discussion, the 3 things that we need to do on our side to win this match, start having it with your partner, and that'll open up a lot of conversations for you. And then sometimes just don't get ahead of yourself, because if you don't have the physical or skillful ability to do the things that you're choosing as your keys, you shouldn't select them, right? Like, we have to jump set to win. Well, we've never jump set ever.
Let's try it.
Yeah, not your time. Let's move on to like the skills, just in order, because this is supposed to be a quick set, so it should be over in 30 minutes, but we'll let it run for another 6 minutes. For me, setting is number 1, and I will tell you why. And people will say, no, passing. I'll tell you why setting is number 1. A setter can ruin a world-class passer and a world-class hitter. A fantastic setter can repair near anything. If you are the world's greatest setter, if your partner makes you dive, if you have to poke set, if you need to kick it, you can put it where it needs to be for offense, right? Ricardo was so frustrating to play against, because Ty Loomis, I remember the one match, Ty Loomis was just getting a bunch of digs, but they were sloppy digs. And I was like, okay, they're in trouble. And Ricardo just kept laying up masterpiece sets, no matter where Ty dug, no matter where he was. And then he's sitting there, he's always attacking from 4 feet off the net, right on his right arm. And it's like, man, we did everything right to get them out of system, and they are right back like clockwork. Wow. So it was near impossible to beat them when he was setting like that. And it wasn't reliant on Ty having perfect digs. That's not why they won. He had awful digs. Ricardo's running everywhere. He got a lot of touches, but Ricardo's running everywhere, and he's just laying up perfect sets. So a elite setter can repair bad passers and then put them in system again. But a bad setter will ruin even the greatest hitters and the greatest passers. So my number 1 is setting. I don't care anything else you can do. And if you need to get on a higher level court, Logan talked about this in New York. If you want to get on a higher level court, one of the best feelings in volleyball is when you get a nice hit. You feel in rhythm, everything's good, and it's clean. You stay there. If you're the person that delivers that to somebody else all the time, they're going to like you. They're going to want to.
If I need to work on stuff, I can always not serve you if you're the scrub on the court.
I could
Serve the other guy, but so long as
you can set, now we can play an elite match, because we could just do a side out game where we serve the good player and you have the one touch that matters, right? Which is the set. If you can do that one thing well, all right. In my training, I'll serve the open player who can pass and attack. And you might be an A player in every other department, but your setting is immaculate. We can have a very, very competitive match, even if the rest of your level is not with us. So for me, setting, number 1. Then I'll put in passing right after that, because it is easier to set. But if you're a setter who's like, well, I didn't set it because you look where you're passing, grow up. Grow up, set like a big boy or a big girl. This is your job. It's your touch now, no matter where the ball is. My job isn't to make you sit still. My job is to allow you to get your hands on it, and then you put it where it needs to be. But I understand everyone's got limitations, but if you always blame a pass for your bad set, grow up.
Yeah.
You got to be able to do it while you're diving, running, sprinting, whatever.
Yeah. The nice thing about setting is you can do that on your own. That's not something that you need somebody to work on.
Yes.
Over and over and over again in your house or wherever you're at. Just have a ball in your hands, just setting it. It goes so far.
Right. And you could have your mom, like, hey, Mom, do you know how to throw a ball underhand? There aren't too many people that can't throw a ball underhand. So, like, boom, now you're in an offensive design
Right,
and a good
right.
layout. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And the people that have taken our, a little sales pitch for our 30-day setter course online, if you guys just head to betteratbeach.com and you look at online courses, we have a 30-day setter blueprint. It is 30 days of drills for setting and exercises for setting, as well as tutorials and match analyses. So if you do that, we get to look at your video because you do our drills, you record them, you post them to our private Facebook group. And then within 24 hours, that's our coach mandate. Within 24 hours, you are going to get your video analyzed by one of us 4 coaches. And we're going to continue to add more coaches. So if you think your setting needs work and you don't quite know what's going wrong, let us help you. Sign up for it. You've probably seen some ads run across Facebook, or you might just be getting on our email list, but go ahead, sign up. Let us give you 30 straight days of video analysis coaching for just $39. Like, that's easy. That's an easy decision to fix the most important skill you have. So check it out. I would say, here's what I'll say, like, attacking got to be next. But the important part for me about attacking is limiting errors. That, to me, limiting errors is more important than your big kills. I don't know how much co-ed you watch. I love co-ed.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
I've enjoyed playing it. Co-ed is cool and all. I think RevCo is really cool to watch because it's guys wailing on a women's net. It's really
love fun. Watching guys wail on a women's net.
Oh yeah, it's a blast.
We're gonna get more hate mail.
My bad.
So co-ed. Yeah, you'll see teams try to feed the guy, and like the guy kind of looking at the girl and being like, well, I should be the one hitting. The problem with a lot of guys is that they try to just mash. They try to hit as hard as they can, and they make so many errors that if you looked at the stats at the end of the match, because of all the dudes hitting errors, bombing into the net or like scudding it out of bounds, the women, the shorter ball control women, they have a higher hitting percentage because they made one error in the entire match and they just kept the ball in. And it's like, wait a second, dude, you are the weak link. You're bleeding points for us. So what I said on the previous recording, I was like, if you can just show me that you can hit a flat ball to deep middle 10 times in a row, we are in a really good spot. That impressive than seeing one bounce, one tape, one bounce, one tape. Be crispy in deep middle, and that'll win matches.
Yeah, I like that.
Blocking's my absolute last. As far as skills, like, I would like serving because I could put a little bit of pressure on some people. It's tough in the beach game with short court to be a legit server. It's a small space, and most people have, I will definitely say, a height disadvantage, because if you can only jump so high, you can only hit the ball so hard. So then it's all spots and making sure the other team's out of system. But blocking, the people who are just looking and hunting for these monsters, like I remember just being recruited older guys when I started because I was 6'3", and be like, you could block, I need you, we'll be a great team. Blocking at the highest level is worth 2 points per set.
Wow.
You can only, at the highest level, like when Phil was just being excellent, he was at like 1.9 blocks per set. It was Andy who started pushing above 2 blocks per set. And okay, at the Sunday AVP level and World Tour level, blocking in the men's game plays a massive role. Okay. But still, what are we doing every single point? Passing and setting, right? Blocking is there. It's a limited skill. And so we tell everybody unless you're an open male player, it is not worth you learning to block. You have to learn how to peel, have ball control. You're taking up more space. And so for those people who just keep trying to recruit big people instead of the best passer and setter in their region, you need to flip the way you think. Don't look for the guys who are soaring above the net. Look to see, once you see that dude jump, then, okay, I am going to sit here until I see him set 5 balls. That's when you make your determination on the quality of that person as a player. But to me, setting's everything and blocking's last.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Because you also have to have the trust in yourself in that area. Like if you are a defender and you're looking for a blocker, you have to be like, okay, this is something that I can get away with if he's a smaller block, because I'm a scrappy defender who's going to get a lot of touches either way.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the plus of a big block is awesome. But like you said, if he can't pass or set, then he can block all the balls he wants to, but that game is already over before it even started.
Yep. 100%. Yeah, we were going to get into how to land that unit. In the end, there really isn't a unicorn partner. It's what's best for you. Like no one's 10 out of 10 in every department. You would love to have somebody who can leap, doesn't make hitting errors, sets dimes, passes perfect. That would be fantastic. You're not going to find it. And if you just keep looking for it and thinking that you need to find somebody, this is like relationship coaches, right? And personal development coaches. You keep having broken relationships in your life. There is one consistent variable. It's you. Fix what you can fix in yourself, and then just look for positives in other people and celebrate them. You get a better life. You become a better partner. And if you're somebody who celebrates partners, people like feeling good. They like receiving compliments. So the people that do come out to California and they get super hard on themselves during practice, and you see how dejected they get really quick, you don't call that person for practice again. You're like, this guy just loses it every time. Right? So that's somebody that you can avoid being. Don't be the person who is visibly hard on yourself, because everybody's like, man, is this dude pissed off again? Is he losing it? He's always sad. Be the person that chucks out compliments, is competitive, works hard, shows up on time, like we talked about.
Yeah.
And then people will be attracted to you and they'll play with you just because they enjoy your presence. Because maybe that unicorn doesn't want to be in the best in the world. Maybe they just want to have a good time,
right.
And that might be your pickup.
Yeah. I think a big part of that is just being like, whenever I first moved out to California, I was just kind of like, what's it going to take for me to pick up a guy that I need right now? What's it going to take? And I was talking to a lot of pretty high level guys, and majority of them just said, let's see, can you still see me? Sorry, I think my Wi-Fi was kind of going out, but he's like, what's it going to take? I was like, what's it going to take for me to get a guy that may be better than me right now, but is willing to play with me? And all these high level guys that I was speaking to at the time, they're
Oh, I hope you come back, Matt. You're about to lay a gem. Guys in the audience, I know we can't hear from you, so I don't know if you are hearing Matt or not. Matt, I don't know if you can hear me or not. All right. We'll give him 10 seconds, and hopefully that internet reappears. But guys, if you want to hear more from Matt, easy. You just got to join our online player program. Complete player program. If you go to betteratbeach.com/coaching, that'll tell you everything you need to know about it. I don't know if Matt's internet is going to come back, but we've gone way beyond our time. So I will say, If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a rating. Please share it with whoever you think it would give value to. And we are going to keep trying to have these little quick ones, a little bit quicker than this. 50 minutes is too long for my taste. So we're trying to get a little 30, 35-minute bits for you all summer long. And hope to see you guys at a camp sometime. That'd be cool. If you have any questions or you want your questions answered on air, we cherry pick from our elite members first. Then we go to our basic members. And after that, we go to social media. One of the groups we look at a lot is Volleyball Tips, Volley Chat by Better at Beach Volleyball. That is on Facebook. Look in there. It's a great way to connect with players in every city. And you can ask a lot of questions. We have AVP and FIVB referees and a bunch of pro players and coaches in there who are answering everybody's questions. That is not where we do our video analysis. That's a private group for our complete players who join our online program. But that community volleyball tips, Volley Chat by Better at Beach Volleyball, that is where you can post a bunch of questions. And if we happen to scroll by and we like it, we might answer your question on air. That is it from me, and I'll say goodbye for Matt since he got interrupted. So thank you so much for listening. Hope we gave you some value, and we'll see you on the sand later.